We all drive like animals on restarts. I know that. It's a lot of unique challenges with the aero, and it still comes down to handling. You know, you got to be able to hold it wide open.
Really important to have track position, hard to pass at times. You had to be really good and really think about your passes to get them done. I mean, the really fast guys could do it, so it's not impossible.
I think you saw it on every restart is, you get the lead, and you just can't get away. And it used to be to where you get the lead and you had a huge advantage and you drive away. Now, the second place car was making runs, but couldn't quite get there to make the pass. Once we started lifting just a little bit, maybe 7-8 laps into a run, then you started getting some passing going and cars wiggling and coming off the line, and that's what promoted the passing.
Today, with those ducks in the front, the cars would really draft, but they punched even bigger of a hole. And so the draft was more effective, but then dirty air was probably as bad as Atlanta. If it's entertaining for people to watch, it really does not matter to me a bit. So whatever it is. Rules are the same for everybody.
Well, I'd give it an A if I won, and B since I finished second, and a C if I finished anything worse than that.
Well, so I'm a believer that Chase Elliott is not making those comments because it's the popular comments. I actually think that's how he approaches the weekend. I think he doesn't care what the rules are, and he just wants to race it. I think the drivers that have that approach are going to be better off. Listen, sports are entertaining. That's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be entertaining. There was parts of this race that were very entertaining. If there would have been more restarts, I probably would have been more entertained. I thought that overall the goal was to have the leader not have as big of an advantage. That's what I saw. I saw that good cars still matter, DJ, which that's what I want, right? I want good cars to matter. Make no mistake about it. I don't want to see 40 cars drafting around the racetrack. I want to see good cars matter. They did. But, they were still proximity to one another. I thought they stayed a little bit closer over the course of a run.
Joey Logano just said it. He won the race, and he just said that even being the leader, you could not get the big advantage of being out front that you could in the past. So in that respect, then it shows me that this new rules package is working to a certain extent. I think the thing that we also have seen over the last 2 weeks is that the better teams and drivers are still the ones that are up front. So they're going to be the ones with that. So has it changed that? What I have seen, and I just mentioned this, that adapting to the different conditions, who you were around, what the racetrack was doing, what your car was doing, making all of that, it mattered more now because you don't have, I know a lot of them have talked about the throttle response and not having that. None of these drivers that were in that race yesterday came along whenever they only had 650 horsepower like I did. And Jeff, you drove some of those before we got bigger and bigger and bigger with the power. But I found the race very entertaining in so many different ways because of what you had to do as a driver. So I think where the drivers we're talking about, they weren't going to have any input into how they did. I think that's wrong that they did. The other thing that I'm seeing is drivers that run a lot of Xfinity races are doing really well with this.
Logano also mentioned that he was exhausted at the end of the race. And I like that. I like the fact that he had to work. I mean, he had to work for that. All the drivers mentioned. It was hard. That was hard to do out there.
Yeah, there's no question that the driver matters and no question the team matters. None of that's gone away. If it was, you'd have random guys running up in the front. We don't have random guys. We don't have random teams. We have the teams that have been the best over the last several years. We have those drivers, those teams up front. Yeah. So it's definitely not easy to do.
Well, and a not manipulated race. And what I mean is there were years where cautions would have come out for debris.
That's
and
right.
everybody would have talked about it. And NASCAR made a public statement that said, we're done with that. We're going to put these stage brakes, and guess what? You're going to have races with no yellows, and I applaud the Tower for letting the race play out because I don't care if it was a 20-second win or a 1-second win. Racing is racing. It's real. You can't manipulate the great finishes, and you can't manipulate the bad ones. They are what they are.
So if I'm a race fan and I went to the spring Vegas race from last year, and no one said a thing to me about the rules, and I watched this race this year, I would say without a doubt this was a better race.
Yeah.
No doubt. Now, here's the problem. If you tell me for 4 or 5 months that you're going to see this crazy race in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So some of the fans have expressed they did not like what they saw. And listen, you see right here the green flag passes for the lead, last 5 races at Vegas versus what we have here. That's a great stat. But does that resonate to what a guy feels?
That's
what matters is what you see and you feel. So we heard some fans express their discontent with this package because they believed they were going to see something they didn't see, and I understand that, right? Brad Keselowski before the race said, oh, my God, we're going to have all this attrition, we'll have all these wrecks, it's going to be crazy. None of that happened. So I understand where some of the fans are saying, hey, this wasn't everything that we thought it was going to be. I do think it's important to remember this is the first race with this package.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know there's going to be a lot of work done by the teams. I don't think we're going to see rule changes by NASCAR. I think those days are kind of gone.
Yeah.
But this is going to continue to evolve. There's no doubt that this was a better race than the spring race last year. No doubt about that. So it was a step in the right direction.
So listen, can we leave? I know we talked about the race, but can we leave without talking about qualifying?
Oh, I'd love to talk about
Oh man, I mean,
Well, you brought up this question last year when you mentioned that this was going to be the aero package. You brought it up to NASCAR and said, okay, is qualifying going to change? Because this is going to change qualifying.
Yeah, and they were pretty confident that it wasn't going to change it. They seemed to know it was going to be drafting. They seemed to be okay with it. I'll be honest. I don't really know if I liked it or didn't like it. I really don't.
You can have
both, right?
So the crew chief in me says that's awful because I want to make my car better than yours. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
The fan in me said, man, I was entertained. So I'm kind of on the fence. I think the most important thing is that, look, we're 3 races in. Let's just see how it goes at Phoenix and California.
We may have to cut the time because I had to make too many trips to the refrigerator to get more snacks, and I don't need to be doing
you should
that.
just shorten the segment.
Shorten that up to where everybody's got to go out there. We don't need to be sitting watching them on pit road just waiting to see who's going to be that person.
And what happens when the pit road isn't as wide as it is?
Yeah.
Because there were 4 wide coming off of pit road at one point in time, and we're thinking, wow, the more action on pit road right now trying to jockey for position to get on the track.
I do think we do have to remember this isn't going to happen every week.
Yes,
this is only at the tracks where there's a ton of grip. I was there at the racetrack. I stood in the pit box of Clint Boyer, and I was watching timing and scoring, and I'm like, as a crew chief, what do you do? Like when they rolled off with a few minutes left to go in that second stage, right, to determine if you're going to the final round or not. How would you know when to go? Like if I was fifth, I would have been like, I gotta go because if this group gets a big tow, they're gonna knock me out. And normally fifth, you would have been like plenty safe. So it put the crew chiefs in a very difficult situation. I like the fact that it's just crazy. Like you don't know what's going to happen. I don't like the fact that it's crazy. I don't like the randomness of it. I don't like that my qualifying spot could be determined by the guy that is behind me or in front of me. Like I don't like that part of it. So I like it and I don't like it.
But here's the one thing I will say about that is it's not random to move. It's multi-rounds. And I believe that any car that's capable of qualifying in the top 10 can get out of the first round by themselves.
I don't.
So you think the draft's going to be that
draft was that important? I watched.
So you have to draft your way out of the first round.
But it's strategy.
No. I think you can run by yourself in the first round.
That's what I mean. To get to
I don't think to get from the second to the third.
I agree.
I think that's what the randomness
You know all I really want, to be honest? Just give me a shot clock. Just give me something, because I want to know if the guy made it or not.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see.
I like the strategy. You have to think about, like you said, who do you go out with? Where do you go out on the racetrack? Who's on the racetrack at the time? There's strategy that comes into play.
And when are we going to see, or where are we going to see it happen, that they wait so long that the second half of that pack that leaves doesn't get back before the clock runs out?
Well, remember, Alex Bowman would have sat on the pole.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He ran the fastest time, but they missed getting to the start-finish line and he thought they made it. They said, we made it our time, and said they made it. NASCAR said they didn't. So it's already happened. There'll be a lot of questions about that clock moving forward.
And let's just be clear. It's qualifying. I mean, Kyle Busch went from 20th to the top 5 in a green flag run. So anybody that it falls the wrong way on Friday, I would be mad too. But then if you tell me that's what ruins your weekend, then you haven't watched, because the fast cars still find their way to the front.
Pit selection is my own.
Pit selection.
That's
and what about Kevin Harvick? Kevin Harvick won the first stage. So playoff point?
Yeah, it matters.
So it does matter. I mean, you win the pole, you got that opportunity of the great track position.
Well, this has been fun, but they're yelling at me, telling me we got to go.
Well, we're going to keep going, though.
Hey, NASCAR fans. Thanks for checking out the NBC Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe below for the latest NASCAR news, race highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.